Are you looking for the best audio music players? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best music players on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. iBasso DX320. As I mentioned above, the iBasso DX320 is my high residential music player of choice these days, and it replaced my already excellent DX300. It strikes a nice balance of features and price, especially when compared to more pricey options from Estelle and Kern that don't necessarily sound much better. This unit sounds ridiculously good and delivers on both the power and transparency fronts, which are important when pairing it with capable hi-fi equipment and headphones. Whatever IEM or headphones I throw at it, the DX320 never seems to lack power, and that is very important to me as someone who reviews a wide variety of hard-to-drive gear. Speaking of reviewing and testing, that means I switch headphones a lot. I am less reliant on carrying external adapters because it includes 3 jack connectors, 2.5mm and 4.4mm balanced and standard 3.5mm. I also love the big screen and smoothness of the Android operating system. I have never had it crash or lag on me. The Snapdragon 660 chipset, while not the flagship, is ridiculously overpowered for such a device. Even when sifting through a microSD card filled with 500GB of music, it's rock solid. RAM is a healthy 6GB, and internal storage is an admittedly small 128GB. There has to be one drawback, but of course, it's the battery life. iBasso threw the kitchen sink at this DAP, and understandably, the draw on the battery is immense. While the company claims 10 hours, I got between 7 to 8 in real-world use. At number 2. FiiO M17. Although I use the iBasso DX320 daily as my MP3 player of choice, if I were to switch to another, it would be the FiiO M17. For me, the sound quality is so good on both. Everything else comes down to personal preference. I have always been an iBasso user, so I stick with them. In a practical sense, both are elite and, in my opinion, the 2 best DAPs you can buy in 2024. What impresses me most about the M17 is how FiiO managed to cram so much desktop componentry into such a small package. The ES9038 Pro DAC is found on full-size desktops and hi-fi components, but the house, in collab with THX, amp also packs a punch. Codec support is all there, including MQA8 and DSD512, which we like to see as many audiophiles will integrate this player into their full hi-fi system. Now, the issue here is this: a DAP? Well, yes, of course, but if I had one, I would see myself using it more as a transportable solution, taking advantage of its power system. While the componentry is good, it's not as portable as the DX320. The battery life is bad, especially when used in balanced setups. I found 6 hours was more realistic in my testing, so you must ensure you have the patience to charge it, as it takes over 4 hours from dead to full. The FiiO M17 is an exercise in lunacy, a way to see how far we can push the hobby, and FiiO has certainly pushed this one. As for every bit, it's crazy, but it's equally brilliant. At number 3. FiiO M11 Plus. For a long time, FiiO has been in control of the cheap DAP market, but in recent years, they expanded their line and are considered one of the best music player and amp manufacturers on the planet. The M11 Plus is the company's latest mid-priced offering, and it's probably their best price to performance. The M11 Plus supports various high-resolution audio formats such as DSD, DSF, DFF, PCM, AP, FLAC, WAV, AIFF, ALA, WMA, PCM, MP3, OGG, ACC. This music player packs a heavy punch for its size and price and competes with many of AK's entry-level models on sound. The interface is less refined, but it's still a hell of a bargain. Just look at this spec list. At number 4. FiiO M11S Hi-Res MP3 music player. The FiiO M11S is a beast of a digital audio player, DAP, for its price, and gives many of the features of the more expensive models without cutting out the important stuff. It has one of the best battery lives on test, and that's even with the size being manageable by actually being pocketable. It uses the powerful Snapdragon 660 chipset with Android 10 that FiiO's engineers have tuned, and it's very smooth and stable. I like that they have given me multiple balanced options, as I can switch between my full-size cans and IEMs without using a dongle, and the power it produces is immense. I never felt like the power was lacking. The sound is very transparent, almost to the point of being dry, so I suggest using them with some cans that have a little warmth to them. Overall, I think the best thing I can say about the M11S is that it is a very well-polished product. It does a lot right and very little wrong, which is probably why you don't ever hear criticism of this player from its owners. At number 5. Hidizs AP80 Pro X. Now we get into the portable and affordable stuff, and what better way than to introduce the Hidizs AP80. This diminutive DAP packs lots of high-resolution goodness for your music, such as extensive support for audiophile-grade codecs like MQA8X, LDAC, and apps. It even has DSD support but is limited to 256, which is to be expected given the size. The internals are solid, too, and while they saved a little on the Infinix chipset, it doesn't seem to impact the performance, even when scrubbing through large music libraries on the external microSD slot. The really good thing is that the budget was allocated to give us dual Sabre DACs and lots of power from the amp section. From the 3.5mm jack, the sound is nothing to write home about. In fact, it was almost indistinguishable from my Sony Xperia headphone jack, but when I hooked my hard-to-drive impedance Bayer dynamic headphones, I couldn't believe how much power it was putting, and thus driving them to their potential. The battery life again took a hit as I got 6 hours balanced from a single charge, but recharge times were fast.